credit card debt and it stressed me out. But what I thought was a solution turned out to be a problem. I kept hearing ads about debt settlement that seemed too good to be true. And actually, it was. When I called, they told me to stop paying my bills. That didn't sound right to me at all, so I hung up. Later, I found out that debt settlement is bad, real bad. Then I learned that there is a right way to pay off your credit cards. It's called a debt management program from the great team at Trinity. Trinity had a plan. In the end, I paid off my bills, I saved thousands, and I even improved my credit score.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-936-5496.
My name is Heather. Please forget debt settlement and remember Trinity Debt Management.
1-800-936-5496.
Rocket 1025 KLOE Goodland, Colby, Burlington.
Looking for serious truck savings? Head to Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland and check out these Chevrolet deals happening now. Drive home a 26 Chevy Silverado 1500 Custom with up to $6,000 in rebates, now just $45,335. Need more features? Step into a 2026 Chevy Silverado 1500 LT with up to $5,750 in rebates, now $52,040. Power, capability, and value, all backed by the Chevrolet name. See the lineup today at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, online at hurlchev.com.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
With NWKS Radio News, I'm Connor Schuh. Early yesterday morning at 1:14 a.m. Central Time, an injury crash occurred in Thomas County that temporarily shut down I-70 between Colby and Oakley. A 2017 Freightliner semi-truck was hauling eastbound going about 60 miles an hour when it was struck on the back of its trailer by a different Freightliner, which brought the struck truck to a rest on the shoulder. The truck that created the impact came to a rest facing east, blocking each lane of the highway. The driver of the first truck, Jacobo Guzman Huizel from Greeley County in Colorado, came away from the collision uninjured, but the second driver, Harry Bardwaj from Georgia, suffered suspected minor injuries and was transported to Logan County Health Services in Oakley. For these and other stories, go to nwksradio.net.
Today, highs will reach into the 70s with west-southwesterly winds around 10 miles per hour this morning, increasing to 20 to 30 miles per hour this afternoon, and gusting 40 miles per hour along the Three Corners area. Red flag warnings for Yuma, Kit Carson County, Colorado, Dundee, and Cheyenne. Could also see a few points of evening rain and isolated lightning strikes elevating fire risk, and blowing dust is possible as well. Lows will be in the upper 20s to low 30s. Tomorrow will be mostly sunny, dry, and cooler with highs 60 to 65, lows around 30. Northwest winds at 5 to 15 miles per hour. Friday warms back into the upper 60s to low 70s under northwesterly winds and breezy at 15 to 30 miles per hour, possibly elevating fire conditions again. Over the weekend, it'll be partly cloudy, breezy with highs in the 40s to around 50, with only minor chances for precipitation. It's meteorologist Chris Schromick in the NWKS Radio Weather Center.
We've been serving ag families for generations because we believe farming isn't just a job, it's a legacy. Whether you're just starting out or expanding your operation, F&B Bank has flexible lending solutions designed for you. This is Loan Officer Kennedy Frank at F&B Bank. We're proud to be your hometown ag lender, member FDIC.
Are pests making your home or business uncomfortable? Call Pest Away in Goodland, Kansas, serving all of Northwest Kansas. They provide top-notch pest control services to keep your space safe and pest-free. From ants to rodents, termites to spiders, our expert team is here to help with effective, safe, and affordable pest control solutions. Don't wait. Call Pest Away today at 785-728-7166 for fast, reliable service. Your home or business deserves the best protection.
When you gotta go, but there's nowhere to go, who you gonna call? Topside Portables and Pumping, that's who. Weddings, job sites, farm parties, they've got clean, reliable porta potties that don't stink, literally. And if your septic tank smells worse than last year's chili cook-off, they'll pump it out fast. No mess, no fuss. Family owned, Heartland values, always ready. Call 785-728-8089. That's 728-8089. Topside Portables and Pumping. When duty calls, they answer.
Looking for insurance that actually puts you first? At the insurance agency in downtown Goodland, we're independent, which means we work for you. Whether it's auto, home, crop, or business, we shop top carriers to get you the best coverage at the best price. No pushy sales, just honest advice from people who live right here in your community. Give us a call today at 785-899-5011 or stop by 1020 Main in Goodland and let's get you covered. The Insurance Agency. Insurance the way it should be.
At Ray Community District Hospital and Clinic, they believe in promoting healthier living through compassionate quality care. From state-of-the-art maternity care to life-saving emergency services, their dedicated team is there for you and your family. Whether it's managing diabetes, navigating recovery, or receiving specialized treatments, they're committed to your well-being. Discover the difference a community-focused hospital can make. Visit rayhospital.org today to learn more. Ray Community District Hospital and Clinic. Your health, our priority.
This season, Cornerstone Orthodontics is proud to cheer on our local athletes. Just like great sports teams, a winning smile takes teamwork, dedication, and the right game plan. At Cornerstone Orthodontics, we're here to help you and your family score big with confident, healthy smiles that last a lifetime. Visit us at cornerstoneorthodontics.com. Locations are in Colby, Hayes, and Great Bend.
It's back, and it's the most popular promotion of the year. The NWKS Radio Bracket Challenge is here.
In the corner of 3.
Pick up a paper bracket at participating sponsor locations, fill it out, return it, and you could win a stack of cash for your hoops knowledge. No apps, no gimmicks, just bragging rights, buzzer beaters, and a chance to cash in. This year's NWKS Radio Bracket Challenge is proudly brought to you in part by
Zibbelman's Jewelry, The Insurance Agency, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, Fitz's GM Center, and F&B Bank.
You ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4!
It's time for the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
If you want to win in football, it all starts up front. Mass kicks ass.
And Connor Schuh.
He's the new guy.
The High Plains only local sports talk show. Broadcasting live on Goodland's Rocket 102.5 and video streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and X.
They're basically idiots.
Covering it all from the preps.
Up ahead to Blair Lennon. Lennon, the crossover, back to Cure. Hello, boom! A two-handed tomahawk flush.
To the pros.
Shotgun snap to Nix. Protection is good. Bold loads it up. He's got it. A receiver there. Franklin makes the catch in the end zone. Touchdown, Denver.
The Blitz is presented by Pearl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank. Along with
Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell, the Insurance Agency, Pestaway LLC, Topside Portables and Pumping, and the Farmer State Bank in Oakley.
Let's go to work. They find Avila, right wing 3. Bang! Robbie, back in the game.
Lobs it past right corner, caught by Case, and drives it alley. You caught it, jammed by Mara. Adai started that sequence, and he finishes it with authority.
Barrett, tip of the logo, goes between the legs, gets right side of the lane, a little runner high off the glass and in. Barrett makes it a 2-possession game.
Juan goes in, spins left, back right, spins left, up, and out the basket.
Clary drives it all the way into the paint. Little runner from 6 crawls off. No good. Unlucky. Rebound ricochets to Clary underneath. Shovels it to Christian Coleman and slams it in.
Oh, my word. Bounce pass goes out high to Hayes. And he tried to hand it off. Beeman, another steal. Jamarian stuffs it with the right hand.
Tell you what, a sneaky good night in basketball last night there, Connor. That was kind of good. I didn't know.
I would agree.
It started off bad. I mean, Notre Dame just got absolutely schmacked by Notre Dame.
That shouldn't have been on national television.
I mean, ESPN got a drubbing if that's what they were hoping for. They got that for sure. That was a 44-point loss. I think it was the largest home or the second largest home loss for Notre Dame at home in the history of the program.
I saw that, yeah. Not good.
Wow. That was bad. I mean, it really makes me sad. Do you remember the Notre Dame team that made the run, I think, to the Elite Eight Might have been Sweet 16. It might have been Elite 8.
What year was that?
Oh, gosh, like 2011, 2012.
Oh, like Luke Herringody?
That's right. And the great Patty Connaughton. Pat Connaughton.
Also a baseball player.
The great Patty Connaughton. Yes, he was phenomenal. I loved watching that Notre Dame team. That NCAA tournament was a heart-wrencher for me because Notre Dame played Wisconsin in I think the Elite 8. Might have been the Sweet 16, but I think it was the Elite 8 for a chance to go to the Final Four. And I loved Wisconsin's Frank Kaminsky. I loved Frank the Tank.
Yes.
So I loved that match. I hated the matchup because I wanted both teams to win. But man, Pat Connaughton and Frank Kaminsky, that was great. Anyway, I was thinking about that last night as I was watching just a little bit of Duke. I mean, honest to goodness, I watched some of that game, Connor. It was like Duke was playing against its JV squad. They were not interested. Duke was not. I mean, they were just like, we're here and we're going to beat the living you-know-what out of you.
And they did it very easily. Also, Notre Dame's been out. They've been without their best player for the entire year, Marcus Burton. So It's like, I don't know how much better he'd make them, but still, maybe he'd make it a 30-point blowout instead. I mean,
Micah Shrewsbury, their head coach, has got a lot of work to do to get them going in the right direction.
Yes.
It's been a tough couple of years for him since he led Penn State, which if there's a man to do it, it's probably him. To take Penn State, I think, to the second round of the NCAA tournament.
No one does that.
No one does that, but Mike Shrewsbury does. But now he's got another massive rebuild in his hands at Notre Dame. That was a bad way to start the night. But there were some great games throughout the night, including Arizona Baylor, which was a shocker.
I watched pretty much the entire second half of that one. That was so much fun. And Arizona pulled it out at the end, but there was a period, I think, from like the 15-minute mark to about the 5-minute mark where they were just trading buckets, and it would be Baylor lead, Arizona lead, and it would just keep flip-flopping. Man, that kid Cameron Carr for Baylor, the lanky forward, he had like 26 last night.
I think he's number 43, right?
43. He's I've been seeing draft buzz for him throughout the year. He might be a lottery pick. That kid is a
Baylor always
athlete.
has at least one guy that's like that. Some super long, athletic Kevin Durant looking kid that's out there that's super long and athletic. They always at least have one.
He can shoot too, man. And I mean, on the other side, obviously Arizona has all that size that we've talked about every time we've brought him up. But that kid, Braden Burries, the freshman, he can play. Did you see that poster?
Yeah, they've got freaks everywhere. That's why I think they're one of the two best teams in all of college basketball.
Yes.
There's two teams that can, no matter what's happened, I don't care if Duke beat them or whatever, I still think Michigan and Arizona are the two most talented teams in college basketball. That does not mean they're going to make it to the Final Four. That does not mean they're going to win national championships.
Nothing's promised.
But they are very good. If there is a bit of a concern, particularly more for Michigan than Arizona, it's that they are too streaky and they need to be more consistent from deep.
They let Minnesota in for a little bit last night.
Yes, that was a close game, 10-point game when it's all said and done. But there were fisticuffs in Virginia, NC State last night. Texas Tech got rolled Cincinnati. Good win for them without Toppin last night. How about the upsets of last night? UCF beat BYU pretty handily. And then you had Mizzou take down Tennessee, number 22 Tennessee. It's just been a bloodbath in the SEC. It's there's not really any dominant team there, maybe besides Florida. And then the Billikens losing to Dayton pretty handily last night.
You know who didn't lose last night?
Miami of Ohio.
That's correct. That is correct. And I was very happy to see Auburn lose. I do not want to see a team with that many losses in the tournament because they're projected as like a 10 seed.
No,
I can't believe it.
Well, Miami of Ohio, 28-0H. I love that. 28-0.
They're representing the state very well. I'll give it to them.
Yep, it's so like I said, an interesting night of college basketball last night. But anyway, coming up on today's program, lots to get to. I was able to visit with. Unfortunately, I had some technical difficulties. Connor tried to join us, but we couldn't. But Eric Sorensen of D1 Baseball joined me yesterday. Visited with him about the beginning of the college baseball season. And so I'll play the interview for you coming up here in our second segment of the day, talking about KU, K-State, some Nebraska baseball, and some of the big programs around the area. He even had something to say about Connor's alma mater, which I find to be funny.
Probably that we're the worst team in the Big Ten. Maybe we're up 5-2 start.
We will get to that at the bottom of the hour. That's
do I want to hear it?
Yes, Connor does want to hear it.
God.
We will touch on some college basketball that's on tap for tonight, including Colby Community College, Fort Hays Tech Northwest playing over at CCC. Are you behind the mic for some PA tonight?
I am not.
You have not,
I
at least
get
not
a
gotten
night
the
off.
text yet. Not gotten the message yet.
No,
Okay.
I asked about it last week. I'm good this
Okay,
time
he's
around.
good to go. So anyway, that's tonight, and then K-State, Colorado, and Nebraska all on the hardwood tonight on a Wednesday night of college hoops. So we'll get to all that coming up. And then we have the question of the day. We do this every now and then. And so we discussed this yesterday. Connor's actually pretty excited about this. I'm excited about it because I thought about it, honestly, while I was in the shower. I know this is stupid, but this is where some of my best thoughts come from, apparently. I was in the shower, and I was thinking about we were going to have Cole Garcia on yesterday, and we did. Great interview if you want to go listen to that. Colby High School wrestling coach, listen on the podcast. But anyway, we had Cole on, and I was thinking about, prior to the interview, I was thinking, he's had a lot of 100 career wins for Colby. Morgan Hills and Ryder Dempy Wolf, and lots of guys have racked up over 100 wins. And there's lots of wrestlers around the area that have done that as well. But last year, the big thing was, at least in this neck of the woods, was the 1,000-point career scorers. Brady Brumbaugh at Goodland, Guy Tubbs at Colby, Jackson. I know I can't want to say Jackson Miller, but that's not right. The young man down there at Jackson Rumford, there we go, was down at Scott City. He had 1,000 career points last year. I think there was even a young man at Hugoton who had 1,000 career points here recently. So what is more challenging to do? Is it 100 career wrestling wins or 1,000 career points? We'll get to that here in just a matter of moments. So we're going to get to that in a second. But I want to talk about the high school basketball playoffs last night. The ladies were on the floor for 1A D1 and 1A D2 area schools. Here's what happened. Decatur Committee beat Ellis 71-27, pinning the Lady Red Devils against Osborne on Monday. They're at home in Oberlin. St. Francis girls had their season end. They lost 58-14 at Central Plains. Their season ends at 4-17. Weskin girls fell at home to Pawnee Heights, 58-51. That ends their season at 6-14. Golden, that was a minor upset. It was an 8 versus a 9. Weskin had the higher seed. I don't want to say it was a huge upset, but Weskin did get beat by Pawnee Heights. Golden Plains girls winning easily over Tri-Plains Brewster, 57-20. Lady Bulldogs head to Wheatland Grinnell on Monday. Tri-Plains Brewster ends its season at 3-18. I don't mean to stick the knife in and twist, but it was a tough year for Tri-Plains Brewster basketball. They won a combined boys and girls 4 games. A very tough year. Feel bad for Tri-Plains Brewster basketball. Tough year for them. And then Wallace County girls rolled Otis Bison 77-29. Lady Wildcats advance in the semifinals. They get Western Plains coming up here on Monday. So once again, the teams that played last night and won will play again on Monday.
Some ridiculous scores here, Ross.
The first round is usually kind of lopsided.
I figured.
You got to separate the cream from the rest, and the cream rises to the top. You get into the semifinal. Now, I believe that more at the smaller classifications. We're going to see a few of those in 2A and 3A, but maybe not as many. A few more competitive games. Like, I really think in the boys 3A bracket, we're going to see a lot of competitive games and even some upsets.
I agree.
I really think we're going to see that. And we'll get into more on that tomorrow because there's no basketball today. It's a day off today, so no high school basketball. It will resume Thursday with 3A boys and 2A girls in action starting on Thursday night. So we'll talk more on that tomorrow. So there's your update from the scoreboard. Did want to quickly mention that teams that had byes yesterday, which included Shilan girls, Wheatland Grinnell girls, Quinter girls. Shilan will get Northern Valley in Goodland on Monday. Wheatland Grinnell will host Golden Plains, as previously mentioned. And Quinter, who had a bye, they will host Victoria. And those are your next round of games coming up on Monday for those area teams. So there you go. I wanted to get to the scoreboard real quickly. And for the next 10 to 15 minutes or so, and we would love to hear your thoughts on the FB Bank text line, 785-899-2222. Question of the day. In your opinion, what is harder to do? 100 career wrestling wins in high school or 1,000 career points? Love to hear the thoughts on this. I've gone back and forth. I've done some math.
I'm doing that in my head right now. I'm trying to think.
I was doing it last night on the couch. I was doing some little bit of math. And so hit us up, FB Bank text line 785-899-2222, or you can hit us on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream on YouTube, Facebook, and X. We can get your thoughts and comments there as well if you'd like to let us know. 100 career wrestling wins or 1,000 career points. Do you want to lead with this, or would you like me to lead while you do some math in your head?
I'll just throw some crap out to start.
Okay.
The gut
If it sticks.
the gut instinct would be points, because I think of just that basketball, well, it's a team game that you can get set up consistently, and if you're in a really good offensive system and you're the guy, or maybe the number 2 guy or gal there, you can get a lot of open looks. And let's say, okay, so minus playoffs, there's roughly 22, 23 games in a regular season. So if you're starting, I don't know, every game for, let's say, 3 years, that's almost 70 games. So what would you have to
the
average?
math. I did the math. So if you started every game from your freshman year to senior year in basketball, if you started every game, and I did an average of around 22 games, because some teams are playing 25, some are playing 20, 21. Yeah. So I did 22, I think is the average I did. So if you're playing 22 games a season and you play and you're on the basketball floor and you start every year for 4 years, you have to average 11 points per game.
Okay, that's given that you're starting as a freshman.
Exactly. Now, if you take off a year and let's say you're like, I'm going to use the example of a local kid, Connor Collett, who didn't play much as a varsity player at all as a freshman, but is as a sophomore, he needs to average around 14 points per game.
That's still...
And he's well on his way over that, by the way, for Connor Collett, averaging over 16, close to 17 points per game. And then if you only play 2 years, you have to have 20 points per game roughly to make it to
just still points. If you can play and you're in a pretty good system, I again think that's fairly attainable. But on the wrestling side, like, geez, how many matches are you getting into a year?
Well, remember we asked Cole Garcia this yesterday, and he said, on average, you're getting around 30, maybe
he said 30
per year, maybe
40 tops.
40 tops. And so, you're going to have to, if you can go out and win 30 a year, you're going to make it there pretty good. That's kind of the basic math in my mind. So as I look at this, and this is the way I guess I see it, I think it is slightly harder to get 1,000 career basketball points than 100 career wrestling wins. I think it's just slightly harder.
Tell me if this is off base at all. And in wrestling, maybe if you're going to get a few easier draws in there, just potentially just by, I don't know, wrestling in a certain area. And obviously this is a good wrestling area, but maybe if you're in a certain weight class, you can just sometimes you could luck into a weight class where there's maybe not as much talent wrestling wise and, get that a little easier. I don't know how prevalent that is or if that happens or what that's like, because I don't know much about wrestling. I mean, I'm much more well-versed in basketball here, so it's kind of wading into some uncharted territory here, but it's tough. I wish we could get someone on here who wrestled and played basketball in high school. I feel like that hypothetical person would have the best read on it.
That would be what the FB Bank text line is for, 785-899-2222. So if you're someone who also wrestled and did basketball, in your opinion, what is harder to do? Is it 100 career wrestling wins or 1,000 career points? Drew, FB Bank text line, says he thinks it's 100 wins on the mat. So does our great listener, Jared. He thinks it's wrestling as well. The reason why I think it's harder in basketball, and I could be wrong on this. If you're at 100 career wrestling wins, I think most of the time, if you're a wrestler, I feel like, and I don't know, I guess I shouldn't say this, but that's not exactly always true. But I would say in wrestling, you're always wrestling someone. Usually, if you're a good wrestler, you're wrestling against someone in your own weight class.
Yeah, and
so you're not wrestling someone bigger. You might be wrestling somebody smaller, but usually, if you're in your weight class, if you're in the correct weight class, you're wrestling someone your size. Now, that doesn't mean that it's easy. That doesn't mean it's easy, because you got to be, like you said, you got to have great technique, and the other person is not going to just allow you to get pinned. But there are great wrestlers out there that can get to 100 wins rather easily just because they're so technically sound, they're so strong, and they're able to just get it done. I mean, I've seen guys go out there and just wipe the floor, be multi-state champs, all that kind of stuff. And so that's why I think, and wrestling is all about yourself. It's all about you to an extent, and your opponent, I guess, but you are in control. 1,000 career points is a little bit more challenge, in my opinion. And I'm not trying to down wrestling here, because I think 100 career wins is still an amazing feat. But 1,000 career points, there's 5 other people on the floor. There's other people that are looking to score that are not purposefully, but can take away your points that you could score in 1,000 career points. So you have to, and if you're a good teammate, you're sharing the basketball with your team. And so to get 1,000 career points, I think is just a little bit harder, because there's more team there. You are trying to be stopped by more than just one guy. You've got 5 other defenders to get to. And more times than not, you're not going to, I don't think you can wrestle as a freshman easily, because you can wrestle at 106 or 113. If you're a small guy or something like that, or even if you're a big guy, you're not super coordinated as a freshman, you may not play a lot of varsity basketball.
No, but I have this. Jared brings up an interesting point, which is, I mean, it's obvious, but it's true. You're going to have a lot more opportunities to score points on a basketball court. And on top of that, I have this thought. If you're a really good spot up shooter, and that's something I'm not going to say that's one of the easier things to learn in basketball. If you are just like picking up a ball for the first time and, really getting into the swing of things as you're going into high school, you can get minutes off being a really good shooter. And if you're a guy who can just run around screens and catch and shoot, you can get yourself 11 to 14 points per game, not easily, but easier than if you're a person who can't shoot the ball as well. And I think you have more opportunities to get on the floor earlier. So by that virtue, there's more people like that could hit that 1,000-point threshold, especially if they develop into more of a well-rounded scorer as the years go on. So I think there's more potential for that than someone who is so technically sound at wrestling that they're just going to go out there and destroy everybody and get 100. So I think the wrestling, just by that logic, is harder.
On Facebook through the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream, Eli chimes in, says 100 career wrestling wins. Morning, Eli. Thanks for listening, buddy. Appreciate it. Let's see here. More text lines, more stuff coming in. Jared says, I think you have more opportunities to score points than scoring mat wins. He thinks there's more opportunities in basketball. But there's 22 games. And there's 35 to 40 opportunities to wrestle. I mean, there's that.
I think it's an impossible question.
Think about this, though. If, let's say, you wrestle 30 times and you finish 15 and 15 every year, 4 years. I mean, what did you, let's see. I guess
not 100.
It's only 60. Okay, I'm short on that. So you got to get 20, 20, 20. So you got to get 20, 20, 20.
You got to get 25, 25, 25.
Yeah, I get it. But I'm thinking like 1 year, your senior year, you're experienced, you've got it. Your junior and senior year, you're going to win a few more. I don't know. I feel like if you're a really good wrestler, and most of the times a really good wrestler has been wrestling since they were like 8, 6. They've been wrestling for a long time. They're really
say the same about basketball, though.
True. I'm not saying that's not correct.
The thing.
And you're exactly right. That's how most 1,000 career points guys or girls are. They start out being just a player that comes off the bench and maybe hits 2 or 3 threes a game. Is just kind of a spot up shooter, and then they develop into something more. I've seen plenty of those guys over the course of time do that kind of stuff. Let's see here. Larry would have a great thought on this. Larry says, not sure comparing apples to apples or individual sport to a team sport. Let's see here. Oh, darn it. Let's see. I got to get to Larry here. Let's see. Teammates make you or break you, whereas a wrestler, you're always on your own. Thank you, Larry. That's what I thought too.
That's why it's so hard to compare. It's a tough question.
Unnamed texter says weight class and age have an effect on the 100 wins. Absolutely. But that's the thing. Like, you can wrestle, really. You can be a freshman and wrestle at 106. You can. If you're a scrawny, undersized guy that can't make the varsity team, because of you're not going to get a chance. You're going to have to make it up in the next 3 years is my point. Might be a really good shooter, but your shot gets blocked every time that you get out there because you're undersized,
Maybe.
It could be. Jared H chimes in my opinion, I wrestled in high school, 100 wins in wrestling. Basketball, if you have any poor night shooting, you can make it up another night. In wrestling, you lose. There's none getting that back. Great point, Jared. Great point on that.
That is true. You can go 10 points, then 30 points the next night.
My guy, Steve from Binkelman, in basketball, they can double or triple team. So no in wrestling. What is that? In basketball, they can double and triple team you. No, so in wrestling. He thinks wrestling's easier. Okay. I guess that could be.
I mean, he's just saying it's a one-on-one battle in wrestling all the time.
That's true. 100 career wins happens in lower weights than heavier weights. Yes, I would understand. I agree that. But as you grow to an extent, you can move up a little bit in weight classes and things of that sort. I think it's just a fascinating discussion. I mean, 100 career wins. Tyler chimes in and goes, what about 100 career pins? Well, if it's 100 career pins, I'm going to say it's definitely easier to get points than to get 100 career pins in wrestling. Not just wins, but pins. That means you're dominating if that's the case. So I don't know, but it's a fascinating thing. The public believes it's wrestling, and that's perfectly fine. I don't have a problem with that. It's definitely a challenge. I don't know. I just think there are more factors that come into play in points. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think there's more factors that come in than there is when it comes.
I mean, I agree. Like with double and triple teams, like someone mentioned, and I mean, how often you're going to get on the court year by year. But I guess that's also kind of the same with wrestling. If you're just not, I don't know. This is
another
this
thing
is
to think about too is wrestling such a physical sport. Injuries are usually more likely in wrestling than they are in basketball. So you play more basketball probably than you would wrestling if you can't stay on the mat because
injuries are still pretty prevalent in basketball. Though.
I'm not saying they're not, but they're usually Let's see here. Jared H. Easier to get 1,000 points than 150. Jared H. thinks it's easier to get 1,000 points than 150 career wins in wrestling.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's for sure easier, right? Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Michael, tough debate because you have to be a dominant state wrestler to get to that number and consistent 11 points every game starting from a freshman. It would be tough. Yes, that is the math that I did yesterday. 11 points as a freshman if you start all 4 years, 14 if you just start as a sophomore, 20 if the junior. So, yeah, you got to pick it up. But interesting question. We'll take your thoughts on that throughout the rest of the show. We got to get to break. But what is a harder feat, 100 career wrestling wins or 1,000 career points? Seen a lot of kids here locally recently either get to 1,000 career points last year or get to 100 wins in wrestling the previous few years. What is more of a challenge? Get your thoughts and comments throughout the rest of the show on our FB Bank text line, 785-899-2222. We'll take a break. Eric Sorensen, D1 Baseball, completely changed the gears here. We're going to talk some baseball next with Eric Sorensen about the college game and get to that next here on the Morning Blitz.
It's time to step into premium capability at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland with strong GMC offers happening now. Get into a 2026 GMC Sierra 1500 Elevation with up to $7,000 in rebates, now $51,150. And if you're ready for a full-size luxury, the 2026 GMC Yukon features 1.9% APR for well-qualified buyers. Full design, professional-grade performance. GMC delivers power and refinement wherever the road takes you. Visit Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland today or online at hurlchev.com.
Kick off 2026 ready for whatever winter brings. At Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby, they've got the gear to start the new year strong. Get organized with rugged storage totes. And when the snow starts falling, if it does, power through it with Ego and Craftsman snow blowers. Or if it's just the light stuff, blow it away with Ego leaf blowers. And don't forget ice melt to keep your sidewalk safe all season long. New year, winter ready. Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby. Helpful folks, trusted brands, and everything you need to get it done.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
Good morning. This is Tom Saludo with the Anderson Trade Group with your overnight market report on February 25th. In the overnight session, March corn was unchanged at 427, May was unchanged at 438, and July was unchanged at 447. March soybeans unchanged at 11.40 and a quarter. May soybeans up 1 at 11.56 and a quarter. And July soybeans up 1 and a quarter at 11.69 and a quarter. KC March wheat was down 4 at 5.50. May was down 4.5 562.5. In July, it was down 4.5 at 576 a quarter. Dow Jones is currently up 165 points at 49,403. The S&P is up 23 points at 6,927. NASDAQ is up 123 points at 25,152. Gold is up 28 points at 52.04 an ounce. Silver is up 3 points at 90.5. And crude oil is slightly up at 65.89 a barrel. If you're out in the Colorado area and have any grain to market or risk management questions, please call John Fianke or John Stiles at 970-744-4484, or you call the Overland Park office, myself, Tom Saluto, Jared Law, or Tyler Ghosh at 913-748-3000. Thank you.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades.
At Nutrient Egg Solutions, we're dedicated to helping you achieve your full potential by connecting you with the knowledge, tools, and solutions you need for success. Partner with our team of experts who are ready to tackle the unique challenges you face at each stage of the season with customized, whole acre solutions. Speak to your local crop consultant or visit us online at nutrienteggsolutions.com to learn how we can work toward feeding the future together.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, and cleaner American fuel. This message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Breaking down the plays, the players, and the passion.
Who's got it better than us? Nobody!
This is the Morning Blitz.
As I kind of thought, the text line would continue to roll in with some thoughts here throughout the break. Brian says, he had a question. When do they start counting your career points in basketball? It's varsity. When you start in varsity is when they start counting the career points, at least your career varsity point totals. That's how most schools do it. Jared H. says, either way, it doesn't matter. Both are accomplishments to be celebrated. Absolutely.
It's true.
And Texter says, easier to score 1,000 points in smaller classifications. See more freshmen, sophomore starting at 1A and 2A than 5A and 6A. That is true for sure. Let's see. Eli texted me. So I know Eli from my time when I was in Colby. He texted me. He goes, here's a great stat for you. He's coaching soccer over in Iowa, is Eli. And he goes, Iowa's senior wrestler Deshaun Ross of Fort Dodge just won his 4th state title. He is 146-2, and he's at heavyweight.
That's incredible.
Yep. He is, it is impressive for sure. And Tyler wants to know, so a young lady up in Cheyenne, Taylor McCarty, what's her career point? She's going to have an impressive number by the end of her stat because she's played a lot since she was a freshman, and she averages like over 15 points per game as a freshman. I just looked it up, and without all the numbers being in, she currently has over 1,200 points, but I think they're still missing some games there. So I'm guessing she's close to, she might get to 2,000 career. I think she's going to get to 2,000 career points. And that is a really big feat for Taylor McCarty. And not only that, she's going to have, I think, in volleyball, almost over 2,000 kills, or pretty darn close.
2,000 kills?
Yeah, in volleyball.
Not bad. Not bad.
Fantastic athlete. Reason why she's getting recruited by Division I schools for sports. There's the reason why that. And all from small little Bird City, Kansas, which is always a great story to see. Okay, we got to get to our guest of the day. Eric Sorensen, unable to join us live. He's on the West Coast, and so he's not going to get up this early to join us live. I can guarantee you that. He would laugh in my face if I asked him to do that. But Eric Sorensen, D1 Baseball, joined me yesterday talking about the college baseball season underway. I asked to start him off, Are you even ready for the college baseball season, Eric?
2 weekends into the college baseball season, I felt my addiction kick in right away. So I'm tweaking fine with my college baseball that I've got right now. But yes, I do realize, and I thank you for having me on, because I know you can talk about so many other things, as baseball's not quite front of mind yet, obviously. But thank you again for having me on and talking some stitch ball. I appreciate it.
No, absolutely. This is fantastic. I want to start with kind of the local teams around our region. First and foremost, Kansas State off to a 6-1 start. I know you're good friends with Pete Hughes, head coach there for Kansas State. But boy, they're really off to a fantastic start here in 2026.
Yeah, what are they? 6-1 right now. They've beaten some good teams. And this past weekend, they did drop a game to Auburn, but they beat Nebraska, beat Michigan, and really obliterated Penn State and Air Force and Iowa in the first weekend too. So they've played some good teams. They did lose the one game to Auburn, but this is a really good start for Pete Hughes' squad. And I know they were I don't think they were picked to be one of the top, like, 2 or 3 of the conference, but I think they're going to prove, in the Big 12 that is, but I think they're going to prove that to be wrong, because this is a great start for them. I was really excited to see that they've had such a good start.
Why do you think Pete Hughes has consistently had a really good baseball program there? And once again, at one of the places that's north of the Mason-Dixon line, where we know sometimes baseball is hard to be successful at. Why do you think he's had so much success at a place like Manhattan?
Man, the thing I always kind of come back to, in fact, Brian O'Connor, name drop on you here. Brian O'Connor was coaching at Virginia last year, and we were talking after their game. I went to a game up at Cal last year and saw Virginia play. And he was telling me afterwards, because we were talking about Texas having such a good season, he was like, you can't tell me coaching doesn't matter, because look what Texas is doing under Jim Schlossnagle now. And it's true. And Pete's kind of just that way, just a good, hard-nosed coach. And he did really well. He brought Virginia Tech. He made them a top 25 program when he was there. I think he was at Boston College before that, took them to a NCAA regional. So he's just won wherever he's gone. He just gets it done. He was also at Oklahoma for a while. I forgot about that one. He was at OU for a while too. Everywhere he's gone, he's been a winner. And so I'm not shocked. And of course, I talked to you last year after I drove by to see Kansas State's new baseball stadium, or rebuilt baseball stadium. And that's a great facility. So you build the right facilities, you get the right coach, you're going to get the right players and win. And that's what he's done there at K-State.
We're visiting with Eric Sorensen of D1 Baseball. It's been interesting weather here in our parts. So we've had actually some really nice weather here and kind of limited snowfall to an extent. And so I think a lot of teams from this area have been able to get outside to get some work in, which can be so advantageous that they usually don't get because of the winter months. Nebraska and Kansas both off to solid starts as well. A few teams that we cover around these parts. I mean, talk about the advantage that teams have just by being outside early on in a season.
It really makes a huge difference. Although I can debunk that a little bit. Here's what I'll tell you about that. I was talking with Tracy Smith of Michigan, the head coach from Michigan, and they, in the opening weekend, they beat Arizona, they beat Stanford, they beat Oregon State, and then lost to Oregon State. They split with them. So after the game against Stanford or against Arizona, I asked him, I was like, Tracy, you guys are playing great. What was the key of you guys had a lot of outside practices? And he goes, we got outside for 2 practices this preseason. One of them was in 13-degree weather for just 30 minutes because we just wanted to get our outfielders to look and see what a pop fly looked like, get them used to seeing a pop fly. So yes, in his case, I don't know how Michigan has done it, but they've gotten off to a great start without any preseason practice. But in most cases, I think that's an outlier. Most cases, if the weather gets it's a little temperate and teams like you just mentioned, like Kansas State and Nebraska and even Creighton has gotten out a couple times outside. It can be a real advantage, and it's really good to see all of those teams, including KU as well, all of them getting off to really good starts. And I think possibly that just getting a few extra practices in when you might not normally get them in is I think is really advantageous, despite what Michigan has done.
I've seen 2 different approaches to the first couple weeks of the season. K-State and Nebraska have gone and played in these MLB Desert Invitationals or the college baseball classics, wherever they may be. You see a lot of teams doing that. And then there's a few teams out there that are still, going south and playing some, a team for a 3-game series to begin their season. Kansas, for example, I think took on Texas Rio Grande Valley and recently did McNeese State here this past weekend. In your opinion, what is better for an end-of-the-year resume, these classics to play in or to get a series against the squad?
Oh, I think the more variety of teams you play, the more you kind of cross-pollinate the country with the different teams. I think that helps you a little bit better as far as like if you're talking about RPI, I assume that's what you meant. But yeah, if you're just talking about getting your ranking up a little bit better, I think these tournaments are really a great way to do it. And there's a lot of them coming up this weekend as well. But at the same time, if you're in Nebraska and you're going down to play against an SEC team like Auburn, that is going to be pretty good. In fact, they're in the top 10 now. You're pretty likely to get good points out of that, especially if they can get a win or two. That would be great, but it's still going to help them a little bit with just by going down there and playing the road games, because true road games do give you a little bit more of a bump as far as that goes. But I tell you what, as a fan, these tournaments, these get-togethers that they have that you mentioned in Arizona, in Houston, and in Round Rock, and this coming weekend is the best. I mean, they got 4 different ones. One of them's be in Las Vegas, where I'll be. I just love these tournaments. I love that they've started to get more popular. It's gotten like for instance, LSU has took part in one last week in Jacksonville. And last year I think they played at Globe Life Field last year in where the Texas Rangers play early on, and they've always had such crappy schedules early in the season for LSU. They don't need to play anybody good because their conference they can just play some tomato cans from up north and beat them and drum them, and then their RPI is still going to be fine because they can build it through the conference. But these tournaments have gotten teams like LSU out on the road more and playing in more far-flung places, and I love that. I think that's really great for the sport.
Eric Sorensen continue to be our guest from D1 Baseball. On that same vein, or in that same vein, if you're Will Bolt at Nebraska, or you're Pete Hughes at Kansas State, or Dan Fitzgerald, Kansas, these teams on the northern side, you can pick another team as well that don't play down south or even in the SEC conference. How big is it to have what is the bar? Like, what do you want to try and do in the preseason before you get to conference play? I mean, obviously you want to win as many games as you can, but you're probably not going to go unbeaten. So what is kind of the bar to make yourself feel like we're in a good spot going into conference play? To me, these teams that you just mentioned and that we're talking about, I think they've scheduled really well. And I think it's a good thing to do to schedule as tough as you can. When it comes to Nebraska, it's a little bit different story because they're in the Big Ten. And last year was the first year of the expanded Big Ten, and the West Coast teams all kind of dominated. They all finished in the top 5, all 4 of them. So Nebraska there's some teams that can weaken their schedule in conference still. I mean, if you have like Ohio State was really crappy last year, and Penn State hasn't been good in a while. So if you play the better competition you play early on in the season, it's going to help your RPI the most because there are going to be these kind of what I like to call anchor weekends where you're playing against a conference opponent. You can't help, you have to play them, and they're just not they're going to drag down your RPI a little bit. So I think the northern teams that can go down and can pull some W's, which all the local ones you talked about have, if they can do that, I think all of them are set up pretty well for when the end of May comes and they're maybe on the bubble or something. They've got some wins to point to and say, hey, look, we went on the road, we challenged ourselves. And the selection committee does notice that. They notice teams getting on planes and going places and playing on the road. First month of the season practically all on the road. They notice those kind of things, and I think they give them a little bit of quarter for that when it comes to selection time. So they get a quarter even though they may not win. Is that correct? And just maybe it's more of a 50-cent piece if they do win or something like that?
Yeah, that's actually a good way to put it. You're right, though. I mean, because if Nebraska goes down and plays Auburn and they lose all 3 bad, I guess they're not going to get any kind of credit for that. So you do have to schedule well, but you do have to pull some W's. They do have to pull some wins. It can't be just, they start 0-10. Oh, but look who they've played. They've gone on the road and played all these great teams. So you still got to win some of these games. And I'm kind of crossing my fingers. I'm hoping Nebraska can pull a W or 2 down at Auburn.
Yeah, you and me both, brother. That'd be great. When you look at what you've seen thus far, you've gone to some other things, you've watched some games. What have been some things that really stood out that have impressed you, some teams, some players that you've seen to this point?
Yeah, man, I got to start with the team local to me here, UCLA, the number one team in the country. You know, I've seen them twice, I guess 3 times now, twice against TCU this past weekend. That was the number 17 in the country. And UCLA just dismantled them. They beat them 30-8, by a combined 30-8 in those 3 games. Rock Chalowski, the shortstop, probably going to be the first draft pick in the MLB draft this July. He hasn't disappointed. He's hit 5 home runs already. He hit a grand slam against TCU. It's just and their pitching has been just epic so far. I've really been impressed with them. I have to admit. And actually, I saw a couple of other good teams. Oregon State has played fairly well. They played, they opened that surprise tournament and surprise Arizona and went 3-1 down there. They just kind of look like the same old Oregon State, really. And their pitcher Dax Whitney hit 100 on the guns the other day and had 17 strikeouts. For him to do that this early in the season, usually you don't get that long of an outing as a pitcher in your second start of the year, but he had 17 strikeouts, and that's pretty remarkable. It's just an amazing content. And again, Oregon State's going to be good. And then I'm looking forward to this week. I got the assignment to go to Vegas to see UC Irvine, Oregon, Vanderbilt, and Arizona. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what kind of team Vanderbilt has. And Oregon's unbeaten, but they've played nobody yet. So I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, there's been a couple of star players that I know are going to be MLB players here in a few years. Chalowski, one of them, and Dax Whitney of Oregon State, another one of them. They've been part of the 2 better teams I've seen so far.
I was curious, looking at the big picture of college baseball, for so long, and I think even continued, the powers lie in the southeast part of the United States. Do you feel any more of a shift or more balance of power coming back out to the West Coast and other places across the country?
It kind of. I mean, I think when you talk West Coast, as far as West Coast baseball goes, you really kind of have to have teams like USC and Stanford and Oregon State and UCLA. You have to have them be good. They can't be bad. Like there's been some seasons where not all of them were all that great, and it's really hurt the West. I think this year all 4 of those teams are pretty good. I'm still kind of the jury's still out a little bit on Stanford. I saw them play this year earlier too. A little bit, but the rest of I think you got Oregon, who's in the top. I think Oregon's in the top 10 in one of the rankings, not in D1s though. I think they're kind of getting a little bit of a short shift on the D1 side, but I think they're going to be really good. Oregon, as I mentioned, Oregon State's look pretty good. I'm not sure as far as the shift to the West, I'm not sure if it'll ever be quite what it used to, like in our days, when you and I were living in Omaha, and I know you remember like Cal State Fullerton being there just about every year, and Long Beach State would come around and, every once in a while. And those programs just can't keep up with some of the Power 4 conference programs that are out there now just because of money. They just don't have a lot of money. So I'm not sure if it'll ever be quite as strong as it used to be or as it was. I remember the first year I moved out here to California, the championship game in Omaha for the College World Series was between Cal State it was Cal State Fullerton and Cal State Fullerton Pepperdine. It was like that was the championship game. I don't think that'll ever happen again. I don't see Pepperdine and Cal State Fullerton being national champion contenders anymore, and that's kind of sad.
Yeah, I can understand that for sure. Eric Sorensen at D1 Baseball. Eric, it's always great to catch up, my friend. Look forward to doing it all throughout the spring. Have a good one.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to the next time, Ross. Appreciate you.
Once again, that was Eric Sorensen joining me yesterday to talk about college baseball. Speaking of college baseball, lots of upsets last night. Number 1 UCLA lost to San Diego State. Georgia Tech and Arkansas both were taken down by Georgia State and Arkansas State, respectively. And then McNeese beat LSU, which McNeese was just beat by Kansas in a 3-game series. So
Kansas is better than LSU is what I'm taking from that.
That's right. Kansas is better. By the way, K-State played Louisiana last night. They lost in a pitcher's duel, 1-0 to drop to 6-2.
Those Raging Cajuns.
We're going to take a break, come back. We'll wrap the show with some thoughts on college basketball tonight and also some news out of the Denver Broncos camp yesterday. We'll get to that all next here on the Morning Blitz.
Craving something delicious? McDonald's has you covered. From hot, fresh breakfast to juicy burgers and crispy fries, there's something for everyone, any time of day. And don't forget to try our classic McCafe coffee or refreshing McFlurry. Visit us in Colby, Goodland, Burlington, and Lamar for fast, friendly service and the flavors you love. Drive through, dine in, or order ahead on the McDonald's app. We'll have it fresh and ready. McDonald's. I'm loving it.
Holly Gelby is the area leader in quality 2-year-old Gelby and Balancer bulls. Our bulls are developed with little corn to ensure soundness, longevity, and productivity for you, the producer. We sell our bulls by private treaty as 2-year-olds to provide customers with bulls that can cover more cows and maintain their condition. For more information or to view the bulls, visit our website at www.kansasbulls.com or call Orrin at 785-626-0081. Holly Gelby, quality 2-year-olds, bulls that are big, stout, and ready to work.
We need reliability with a personal touch. Call Miller Construction Services, LLC. With over 40 years of hands-on experience, this family-owned and operated company is your trusted construction leader across Northwest Kansas, Northeast Colorado, and Southwest Nebraska. Licensed, bonded, and proud to be a Chief Buildings Independent Authorized Builder, Miller Construction builds durable storage facilities, warehouses, municipal projects, and more. Be sure and visit millercs.com. That's millercs.com, and let's build your future together with Miller's Construction Service, LLC.
From the headlines to the highlights.
It's good! The Wildcats are champions of the Big 12!
This is the Morning Blitz.
I thought we'd get a lot of response from our question of the day, and we have. Our Facebook page has been lighting up with some thoughts and comments throughout the interview there. So appreciate everyone chiming in with some thoughts and opinions on what is harder, 100 career wrestling wins or 1,000 career points in basketball for a high schooler. So fascinating question that, once again, appreciate everyone chiming in and giving up their thoughts and opinions on that here today. Plenty of college basketball on tap for tonight. Starting locally, Colby Community College hosting Fort Hays Tech Northwest. Talk about 4 teams that desperately need wins.
Yeah, you're telling me. And I think one of them that could use it probably the most would be the Fort Hays Tech Northwest men's team, because I think they have that just slim outside shot of getting a home game in conference, or, well, for the conference tournament. So if they could get a win here, it'd be a nice start for the last, well, actually, never mind. I don't even think they have a chance, because it's only 2 games left, and I think they're 3 games back.
No, I think there's 3 games left, I think. This is 2 after this one. I think there's 3 total. Feel pretty confident. There's 3 after this one, I think. Or 3 total.
Might be right.
I think I am. Nonetheless, yeah, basketball tonight, Fort Hays Tech Northwest, Colby Community College. Like you said, the Tech Tiger men definitely could use a win. Colby Community College men are scraping, although if they could get another win or maybe another 2, they might be able to get out of the final spot, the last place spot of the standings, the Colby men, despite having the tough season that they've had. And the women's game, you look for Colby Community College try and bounce back after a disappointing loss at Pratt on Saturday. They got to be hungry for this one tonight, I would guess. So
I would imagine so, and I don't think it will be too much trouble getting it.
The K-State Wildcats are on the road tonight at Colorado. First trip to Boulder for K-State men's basketball since? Any guess on that?
I guess this is probably their first since, I'm going to say 2015.
First since I moved to Western Kansas. 2011 was the last time that K-State was going to Boulder for a basketball game. 2011, the first time they'll play there inside the CU Event Center. Just after 8 o'clock Central Time tip on 100 Point Through the Ride, televised on FS1. Colorado, by the way, has won 3 straight home games, and K-State looking for their first conference road win since pretty much the beginning of conference play.
I don't know if we're getting that.
I don't know if we are either. Colorado's playing well. Also tonight, Nebraska basketball hosting Maryland at Pinnacle Bank Arena.
Trap game.
I think it's a challenging game. One thing that concerns me about Nebraska is that they are not the most athletic squad out there. Maryland usually has dudes.
They have some athletes. They may suck, but they have some
including former Kansas guard Diggy Coit, who can go off for 40 points any night. So
he did.
A tough one tonight. Nebraska still dealing with the flu going through the locker room, unfortunately. So we will see what we can do there. Let's see. What else can we get to here? Oh, softball real quickly. Got to get to some softball here real quickly. Softball yesterday, Fort Hays Tech Northwest softball. They won their first game of the year last time out. They beat, Mid-America Nazarene. They lost 17-4 in game one. And let's see what else. 17-4 in game number one, and then 12-8 in game two. They win 12-8. They lost 17-4. They're 1-5. Colby Community College softball, by the way, in action tonight. All right, let's get to the walk-off.
And Matt lifts his ball high and deep to right. How about a walk-off Grady? Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime. Mahomes flings it. It's there. Hardman. Jackpot. Kansas City.
Big news surrounding Broncos football yesterday, but not surprising news. Sean Payton said he will step down and will no longer be calling plays. New OC Davis Webb will do that. This is what Coach Payton had to say at the podium yesterday. He was at the NFL Combine talking about this change to the offensive side.
He's extremely talented. With regards to play calling, it's something that, I think he'll be really good at it. And I know that's like, man, are you going to give up play calling? And I would only do that if I felt like it would help our team. I'll still be involved with what we do offensively, just like what we do defensively. But I do think he has a gift. I think he's real sharp. I'm glad he's on our staff. So I'm looking forward to it. I challenged him in the offseason prior to that preseason game. He did a good job. But I think it'll help us, and certainly I wouldn't do it if I didn't think it was going to help our team win.
There you go, Sean Payton. Any thoughts on this, Connor? Good move? Wrong move?
I think it's one of those that you just don't really know what to expect since, as far as I know, Davis Webb hasn't called plays before in his career, hasn't been an OC. So I think that's one that the jury's out until we see what happens, honestly.
Well, I know one thing. If they didn't give him the OC job, I think he would be someplace else, like Buffalo, being an offensive coordinator, if they didn't let him call plays. I think they almost had to do this. And so it's for the first time, I think, since 2006 that Sean Payton will not be calling plays as the primary play caller. So anyway, we'll see how it all pans out in the coming season. I know that's what Bo Nix wanted. He gets what he wants, does the new guy. All right, that does it for us today. We will see you back here again tomorrow for another edition of the Morning Blitz. We'll be talking more high school basketball tomorrow as postseason resumes after an off night tonight. Have a good one.